My husband is in love again and has a little girl. Now that I'm sensible, I don't cry or make trouble, and I intimately urge him to go on a date. He was quite satisfied, and boasted to his brothers, "Look, if you marry a wife, you have to marry such a good person." But his brothers had different looks, because I have been disobedient to them, especially the cauliflower sitting in the corner. Last night I was so tired that I couldn't move a finger. He was still asking me, "When are you going to turn me around?" Well, talk. Ivan Pope is in love again. This time it's a young girl. Ivan Pope loves her. The little girl is also very pestering. On my birthday, Ivan Pope came home to celebrate my birthday. Before the candle was blown out, the phone came. He avoided me and went to the balcony to answer the phone. But I heard it anyway. "Are you going home to be with that yellow-faced woman? If you sleep in a bed with her at night, we'll break up." I'll be honest. The squeamish voice had a brutal vibe. Ivan Pope isn't annoyed either. Coax her patiently. "Little vinegar, cut a cake and I'll accompany you." "Good. I bought the pink diamond you like, and I'll give it to you later." The other party was relieved and added a sentence vividly. "Then you can't kiss her." Ivan Pope seemed amused. "Okay, I won't touch her." "Okay." I was laughed at. Are the current juniors so justified? Ivan Pope answered the phone, and I kindly handed him the pink diamond on the table. "You're taking it wrong. This was supposed to be given to her." He froze for a moment and pulled another box out of his pocket. "Emerald necklace. Your birthday present. Gifts can be taken wrong. He's not so distracted by me." "Thank you. I'll take it. There's no need to be angry. I'm very good at giving gifts, and the green of emerald matches me very well. Maybe I'm acting too well." A strange emotion flashed in his eyes. Clara Alcott approached, looked down to kiss me. I immediately blocked it with my hand. "Don't. Your girlfriend won't let me kiss." His eyes darkened, and a hint of anger flashed across his face. He simply sat on the sofa with a big sword. "Clara Alcott, are you in a mood?" "Huh." It's funny that he asked, but I didn't have time to talk to him. "Grab your phone and send a message to his little girl. Your man wants to be gentle with me, so he probably won't date you tonight." It wasn't long before Ivan Pope's phone rang. Then he hurried out to coax people. I let out a sigh of relief. People are always changing. I used to be afraid that he wouldn't come home. Now I'm afraid of him staying at home, hindering me from dating. Ivan Pope and I got married, of course, out of love. But he was destined to be a wild horse, and he only wanted a piece of grassland. Over the years, his little lover has been fat and thin, and there are too many to count. At first, I was unwilling, crying and fussing, smashing and beating, even humbly prayed several times for him to break off with outsiders and return to his family. And Ivan Pope just looked at me coldly. "Clara Alcott, stop making trouble. Who doesn't have a few women outside in our circle?" "Madam, aren't you okay?" I laughed. "That husband is you. Can I find a group of male models outside?" Ivan Pope gritted his back molars, and scolded me for being crazy. "Clara Alcott, if you dare to give it a try, just give it a try." Of course, I didn't look for a male model. I want to open it, and no longer interfere with Ivan Pope in love. I am as indifferent to his things as a chrysanthemum, not crying or making trouble, like a dumb person. He was quite satisfied, and when he got drunk, he boasted to his brothers, "Look, if you marry a wife, you have to marry such a good person." On that day, several of his brothers had different looks, because I've been bad with them. Ivan Pope is in love every time. I carried him behind my back, and picked up one of his brothers. He can cheat again and again, so don't blame me for knitting him a green hat, especially the cauliflower sitting in the corner. Edison Isabel, the eldest grandson of the Isabel family. The night before, I was so tired that I couldn't move a finger. He was still asking me, "When are you going to turn me around?" Well, talk. That's right. Edison Isabel has been pestering lately. His vinegar strength is no less than that of this little girl from Ivan Pope. I clicked on the voice. The other party's voice is as intoxicating as mojitos. "Clara Alcott, come out." I didn't respond. 3 seconds later, he sent another photo. Neatly stacked and skinny abs. The undried droplets of water flowed down the 2 deep mermaid lines into my eyes. "Send me this picture." Didn't he just make it clear that he wanted me to go out and clean him up? I can't be excited. It is easy to become addicted when provoked by him, or the old place, the suites of the star hotels. I stood outside the door and waited for a while, but nothing moved. Oh, Simons, if you don't open the door again, I'll go. I'm not used to him. The door opened suddenly, and a well-proportioned hand pulled me in instantly. Edison Isabel had a sense of grievance, wrapped his whole body tightly, and sat on the sofa with a cold face. What do you mean you don't reply to my messages? The good-looking side face made me can't help but soften my breath. He's at home. It's inconvenient. His eyelashes fluttered like raven feathers. Clara Alcott. Divorce him? No. He was stunned for a moment, and the tails of his eyes quickly reddened. Still love him. And what am I? What are you not counting? But I didn't dare say it. Edison Isabel is obviously the jade-faced Hades in the business field, and he is decisive at the negotiation table. Whenever I come here, I look like I am being bullied, but I'll just eat his set of contrasts and cuteness. If I love him, can I still come to you? Wait a little longer. I'm long past the age when love was paramount. I have selfish intentions, and at the end of the year, Ivan Pope's 5-year planning North District project will be implemented. At that time, his assets may be multiplied several times. If I want a divorce, I have to wait until I divide a large sum of money before leaving. I deserve it. After all, in the hardest days of his business, it was the basement where I lived with him and ate instant noodles. I used Ivan Pope to coax the little girl's outfit to coax Edison Isabel. I'm not going to leave at night. I'll be with you. Good. Edison Isabel smiled, his eyes shining so brightly that he almost blinded me. Well, I'm handsome, and I'm capable. Okay, there's no reason why you don't choose me. Men are naive until they die. With that, he gently grabbed my hand and led me to untie his bathrobe. Come, open a gift for you. Yes, or he will. At the moment, my resistance is broken. I seem to understand a little bit of Ivan Pope's happiness. Wildflowers are really fragrant, but I understand that this is the happiness of moral decay. It does not see the light and is not recognized by the world. Clara Alcott, when are you going to turn me around? Speak. Clara Alcott, I really like you. How about you? I couldn't answer the look in his sincere eyes. I touched his face. It's rare to have a little bit of conscience, but not much. I want to be finished, and he still wants to have a future with me. Then wait a little longer. When he got tired of our relationship, he took the initiative to quit. Just like Ivan Pope, he once loved it intensely, and it was not a day when he returned to calm and fatigue, and a rich second generation like them. Who knows which sentence is true, and which is false? If you believe a man's words too easily, you will be unlucky. The next day, I dragged myself home sore and softened. Where did you go? For the first time, Ivan Pope sat on the living room couch early in the morning. I was stunned for a moment, and casually said, "Why don't you go downstairs for breakfast?" Ivan Pope glanced at me, and suddenly jerked in front of me. His eyes are deep and his voice is slightly cool. Clara Alcott, where did the red mark on your neck come from? I thought of Edison Isabel and my heart shook. On the fire. Scraping. Hand pulling. Ivan Pope stared viciously at my neck. Obvious unbelief. Because this kiss mark is too obvious. He gritted his back molars. Clara Alcott, what the fuck are you out there? Who is he? I slammed the door to my room. Almost missed hitting his nose. Thanks to this time, we slept in separate rooms. Ivan Pope's fierce voice came through the crack in the door. Clara Alcott, if I find out there's someone outside of you, I'll kill him. It's Edison Isabel. Go kill him. I knew he wouldn't dare. After all, Edison Isabel came from a prominent family, and Ivan Pope couldn't get him. At most, we can quarrel and end my tangled relationship with Edison Isabel. Unexpectedly, Ivan Pope was stunned for 2 seconds and sneered. Clara Alcott, you lie and make some drafts. Edison Isabel, who's going to take a fancy to you? At this moment, somehow, my heart was like a plum soaked in cold water, cold and sour. It was a contempt from the bottom of Ivan Pope's heart. Just because he didn't value me, he was able to betray our marriage again and again, without any psychological burden. In fact, except for Edison Isabel, I didn't go to the last step with his group of rich second-generation brothers. I tried, but it just doesn't work. It's me who can't, the most serious one, and the other party is speechless. He looked helplessly at the stains all over his body. I'm so handsome. You actually threw up. I apologized to him. I'm sorry. I wasn't spit out by you. It's my problem. I have emotional cleanliness. I'm still different from Ivan Pope. I can't really be as promiscuous as him. Except for Edison Isabel. It was an accident. Ivan Pope. Let's get a divorce. I don't want to put up with it anymore. Liberate each other sooner. Ivan Pope was stunned for a few seconds. Clara Alcott. You should know that I'm most annoyed by your temper. I really agree to the divorce. Don't regret it. Ivan Pope was sure that I was just threatening him with a divorce. It's just that he didn't expect it. The Shura field came so quickly. The unjust girlfriend is the business manager of the newly opened star-rated hotel. Hard stuff to give me a coupon, and let me experience it for free. Edison Isabel raised an eyebrow. I haven't experienced it yet. Please bring it. Unexpectedly, there were also Ivan Pope and his little girl. Just after they swiped their front foot into room 817, I brushed open the door of 818. It's exciting to think about being separated by a wall. Irritated, Edison Isabel pressed me as he entered the door. Wait, wait, the next door will hear it. He teased my earlobe, and his voice was languid. Don't worry, this soundproofing material is okay. How could he be so clear? I squinted. Who have you been with? Edison Isabel's phoenix eyes lit up. Clara Alcott. Are you jealous? I'm glad you're jealous of me, but don't worry. My inventory has been handed over to you, and no one else has ever been. After saying that, he buried his head in my neck and gnawed on it. Edison Isabel is somewhat of a love brain. I think when I teased him, he was really cold. I sometimes can't help but wonder if he was pretending to be. The bell rang abruptly. Telephone. Edison Isabel reluctantly let go of me, his misty phoenix eyes glaring at me slightly. I glanced at my phone and chuckled. It was Ivan Pope, and the voice on the phone was low and cold. Open the door. 10 seconds later, Ivan Pope's voice rang out again. Clara Alcott, I've got a lot of ways to get you to open the door. It seems that the sound I accidentally made just now was heard by Ivan Pope next door. I know very well that he is a stubborn person, and it's really hard to explain to the outside world. After all, he brought his girlfriend and I brought my boyfriend, and he was still next door. Anyway, it's not like that. I had to temporarily grieve Edison Isabel. Why don't you go to the bathroom and hide for a while? Edison Isabel wrapped around me and didn't move. Am I so bad? I pressed my fingertips to my eyebrows. It's my husband outside the door. Your current status is a junior. Understand? He was not convinced. He also carries 3. Why is his 3 so justifiable? I want to be so humble, isn't it? It's all burning eyebrows. And he's still comparing himself with others. But yes, Ivan Pope's little girl is quite right. I'm a little weak-hearted, and I'm the one who made him go. So, I had to lean down and gnaw his lips. But we'll be more excited this way. If you can't take 1 bite, then take 2 bites. Well, he's just part of our play. Edison Isabel's eyes lit up, and her watery lips slowly rose. It's pretty much the same. The eldest young master was finally obedient and walked slowly into the bathroom. I opened the door, and Ivan Pope stood outside with a black face. What about people? That adulterer. Ivan Pope pursed his lips, looked around, and pushed the bathroom door, but didn't push. Okay, can you hide for the rest of your life? This is a hotel owned by my brother company. A phone call, and the surveillance is clear. Clara Alcott. Wait, I'm going to see who it is. Check it. I've seen this one. It's just a monitoring dead end. It's just that sometimes the plan often doesn't catch up with the unexpected. Ivan Pope called his brother, but Edison Isabel's cell phone rang in the bathroom. Ivan Pope looked at me and hung up suspiciously. The bell inside abruptly stopped. He dialed again. The bathroom rang again with a pleasant bell. At this moment, Ivan Pope's face was as green as the company stock had crashed. Is it Edison Isabel? Aha. I really didn't know that this hotel is owned by Edison Isabel. The bathroom door opened. Edison Isabel calmly stepped out and sat down on the couch, with their legs folded. It naturally looks like they're in a cafe, rather than being raped. Tell me, which surveillance do you want to watch? Ivan Pope's Adam's apple rolled several times. The gaze rotated between me and Edison Isabel. After all, he couldn't help it. and swung his fist at Edison Isabel. Edison Isabel dodged. His eyes were sharp at Ivan Pope, as if he had seen through him. Are you worthy to hit me? Ivan Pope's fists clenched and released. The bruises on my neck bulged and dragged me by. Go home and talk. It was the first time I had seen Edison Isabel exude the scent of a gloomy owl, and he stood up suddenly. Something is coming at me. Don't touch Clara Alcott. Ivan Pope seemed. Edison Isabel. Clara Alcott is my wife. It's our family business. Edison Isabel snorted. Even if you have a marriage certificate, it's not a reason for you to hurt her. I reassured Edison Isabel with my eyes. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I happen to have something to talk to him about. Edison Isabel had no choice but to restrain his emotions. Then be careful. Don't do anything you shouldn't do. Ivan Pope's face darkened. No matter so much. Don't you have a sense of proportion, with a 3? Edison Isabel had a cool voice. I've done all 3. Where is the sense of proportion? On the way back. Ivan Pope throttle fast. Ivan Pope, you're driving too fast. People are scared. True. There was another person in the car, sitting in the co-pilot. She's the little girl Ivan Pope has been putting on the cusp of her heart lately. Spring Hurdy. Spring Hurdy was wearing a meager slip dress with a pitiful amount of fabric just now, and she looked at Ivan Pope with red eyes. Ivan Pope frowned, thought for a moment, and took her with him. I'll take you home first. Ivan Pope looked like he was seriously ill. Along the way, I flirted with Spring Hurdy, and I was about to spread the Martian sun. He also frequently peeked into my expression in the rearview mirror. Will I be sad? No. Am I going to be angry? It doesn't seem to be. It turns out that if you don't love, you won't have any emotions. Soon, the car stopped downstairs at Spring Hurdy's house. I'll take you upstairs. Ivan Pope said this by looking me in the eye. Seems to want to see me angry and jealous. I didn't care. It's okay. You can go to bed. I'm not in a hurry. You take your time. There was a bang, and I was answered by a heavy slam of the door. I'm so generous. What's there to be angry with him? After walking 100 meters, Spring Hurdy ran back with her high heels on her heels. Forgetting to take the lipstick is fake, and trying to stab me a few words is true. Why don't you get a divorce? Are you afraid that no one will want it when you get older? You're 27 years old, so you really have to worry. But Ivan Pope just likes me, and it's useless for you to do it. I looked at her bright, slightly silly face and smiled. The person who scolded me on the phone last time was also her, right? I always talk about age. What's the matter? You won't live to be 27 years old, will you? Since he likes you so much, he still lets you do 3. He's so ignorant. By the way, I have a certificate. Do you have it? I'm going to get a divorce and still have a division of property, and you're going to be dumped, and I can't give you a dime. Don't be so healthy at a young age. Fill a belly with green tea, every day. Her face turned white. I quickly raised the window pane, almost missed her nose. A good car is just that, soundproof. I sat in the car and blew the air conditioner, and watched her face the glass with her mouth open and closed. Around the same time, I lowered the glass and plucked out my ears. What did you say? Say it again. I continued to raise the glass. Instead of running yourself, it is better to drive others crazy first. 2 hours later, Ivan Pope sat on the living room couch with a cold face, lit a cigarette in hand. Clara Alcott, when did you start with him? I thought about it for a moment, said indifferently, that time I went to the company to deliver you a love meal. You sat on your lap, Spring Hurdy. And then you told her, you have been playing with me for 7 years, and you are tired of it. Ivan Pope's hand shaking as he took the cigarette. A hint of panic flashed in his eyes. He never knew when I walked out of the office with my lunchbox in my hand, crying until stomach cramps. I used to love Ivan Pope. I loved it, but after he got married, he used a blunt knife to cut my heart little by little, and the blood flowed all over the ground. I can only save myself. Use whichever way makes you happy. Let go of personal qualities and enjoy a life without virtue. If you can't beat it, join in. From that day on, I started looking for his brother. Try them one by one. Spit one after another until I met Edison Isabel. He's so good looking. The key is that it looks good, and is easy to use, and it cures my emotional cleanliness. Ivan Pope's voice wafted through the smoke. Clara Alcott, you cut him off. I'm also broken off with Spring Hurdy. Let's start over. Men's inferior nature. My cheating partner is Edison Isabel, a top-level man. Ivan Pope is starting to re-examine my worth again. When I was well-behaved and clever at home, he felt bored and could hurt him wantonly. I chuckled. Ivan Pope, I've slept with you for 7 years, and I'm tired of it. I gave him this sentence back. Ivan Pope froze, clenching his back molars and reddening the tails of his eyes. The voice was as cold as ice ballast. Clara Alcott, you're really divorced. Do you think Edison Isabel will marry you? With such a net worth background, he marries the right family. And he didn't know you were once a broken shoe, did he? With his stepfather. At this moment, I felt like my ears were ringing, and I couldn't hear any other sounds. I just know, the last vestiges of my friendship with Ivan Pope were gone. He quickly came back to his senses, and there was a trace of remorse in his eyes. I'm sorry, Clara Alcott, I said the wrong thing. Only now do I understand why he keeps cheating. On the one hand, it may be a prodigal nature. On the other hand, it is the dislike that he has buried in his heart for me, that no one knows. Because you think I'm a broken shoe, so you make up for it by cheating. Clara Alcott. He rolled his Adam's apple, and reached out to hug me. Ivan Pope, you're disgusting me. Snap. This is the first time I have slapped him. It took a lot of force, and it shook my palms. Ivan Pope's fair-skinned face suddenly appeared with a red slap print. He was stunned for a moment. His eyes quickly became filled with anger. I just touched you and you're disgusted. Isn't it disgusting for anyone to touch you? Edison Isabel. Clara Alcott, be sober. Edison Isabel is just playing with you, and you're so cheap that you're rushing to play with him. Scumbag puau. You don't need to prove yourself. Ivan Pope, you're right. I'd rather get up and play with him than you touch me. With that, I quickly walked into the room, closed the door, and locked it. Clara Alcott, you come out. Ivan Pope barricaded the door, gritting his teeth. He kicked the door a few times before he gradually subsided and slammed the door. I leaned against the wall with some weakness. In fact, I have subconsciously forgotten that incident for a long time. Today, Ivan Pope's words are like an invisible and murderous hand. Caught off guard, he dragged me back into the dark tunnel of time. Mom, Uncle, he looks at me weirdly. Mom put down her little brother in her hand. Her eyes were full of disgust. Who's to blame? Why do you want to wear skinny jeans? You have to wear a skirt. If you dress ugly, who will look at you? You're so cheap. Rushing to show people, I clenched my palms, and the smell of rust was in my mouth. There was only a stepfather and her newborn son in her world. Never me. That afternoon, when my mother was not at home, the plot that only came to me in a TV series, I was on the living room floor, struggling for mercy. Desperate, it was Ivan Pope who saved me. He's seen the most embarrassing moments of my life. His hair was messy and his shirt buttons were falling all over the place. The boy's warm, clean hand held me tightly. Don't be afraid, Clara Alcott. No one can hurt you with me. Admittedly, he was once a ray of light in my life. It was also on that day that I chose to leave my mother completely. No matter how much my mother cried and begged me, I looked at her coldly. Why do you do this? You begged me to go back, just to have a punching bag and sprinkle the resentment of dissatisfaction with life on me. But Mom, it's true that you don't love me. That's all. I'm stubborn. There is no turning back. But I underestimated my mother's resentment towards me. Hate me so much that he didn't hesitate to destroy me. In the hallway, she meets Ivan Pope. She sneered at Ivan Pope. My daughter's virtues. Being a mother knows best. She's pretending to be with you. It's not the first time she's done this with me. Mom's words undoubtedly planted a seed in Ivan Pope's heart. Over the years, it broke into a sharp thorn. Until the first time I was with Ivan Pope, the sheets were clean and there was nothing. The thorn was completely pierced into his heart. I shy whispered. I fell when I was learning to ride a bike, so it broke. Ivan Pope just snorted. I didn't find out until years later. It turned out that he had never believed me. Not once. Any relationship is considered to come to an end without trust. Let's get a divorce. I'm serious. The screen lights up. Well, when are we going to tie the knot first? Oh, I sent the wrong person. I sent the wrong message to Ivan Pope to Edison Isabel. It's wrong. It's not for you. As smart as he is, of course he understands what it means. It's not because of me that it's disturbing your family life, is it? This text contains at least 80% tea. Don't be discouraged. There is something to discuss. Talk to him well. Have you said okay? What time are you going to get a divorce? Tomorrow is a Good Friday, and after the weekend, we have to wait 2 days until Monday. I'm not in a hurry. It's a little bit of a hurry. I laughed. And he was in a hurry. Clara Alcott, I want to see you. The voice is low, and it is hooking me again, but I don't want to. I'm really tired today. Shall I talk to Clara Alcott? Then, after 2 hours of pure chat, I got bored. What's the point of pure chat? I'll take a look at my clothes when I take them off. He laughed angrily at me. Okay, you wait. Then the screen went black. It took 10 minutes before he reopened. Cross your hands under the hem of your shirt, and slowly pull them up. The moment I showed my abs, I instantly felt energetic. I'll take my pants off. Don't. Unless you see it live. I laughed and pretended to be reserved. If you show up in 5 minutes, I'll see you. It's funny, and so will I. His family lives in the south of the city, and I am in the east of the city. At 120 yards per hour, he had to drive for an hour, but 3 minutes later, I got a call from Edison. Isabel, go downstairs. Clara Alcott. It was as if my heart had been suddenly struck. I pulled back the curtains, and there was a Maybach parked underneath. It's the car that Edison Isabel usually drives. Edison Isabel, you've been sitting downstairs in my house for most of the night. No. When I took off my clothes, I went to the hotel next door and opened a room. No wonder the screen went black for 10 minutes. I think Clara Alcott will be the first to show up when she wants to see me. A warm current rose in my heart. I didn't even have time to change my shoes. Dressed in pajamas and slippers, he rushed downstairs. On a breezy night, rush into a warm embrace. He tightened my waist. Clara Alcott, leave him. Follow me. The good-looking phoenix eyes looked at me quietly. At this moment, I believe that the sincerity in his eyes will not lie to me. But if you don't deceive, I don't know. Edison Isabel, you say, can your family accept me like this? Under the sparkling moonlight, we had a clear line of sight with each other. Edison Isabel had a subtle dodge in his eyes. I see it. It's not a teenage girl again. I understand what that means. Edison Isabel fluttered her eyelashes. Clara Alcott, give me time and I'll take care of it. I smiled at him. Then when you're done, come back to me. Anyway, I didn't suffer from this relationship. I didn't spend a penny, and I prostituted him for nothing. Man, just look for it again, and the next one will be more well-behaved. I wrapped up my clothes tightly and turned to go upstairs. Edison Isabel stood downstairs at my house all night. Ivan Pope only returned at noon the next day. Unexpectedly, he was still carrying a bag of vegetables in his hand. It doesn't match his expensive haute couture suit at all. He smiled at me as if he was nothing. Clara Alcott, can I make your favorite prawns and ketchup? Ivan Pope, let's divorce the marriage. Clara Alcott, do you want to be sweeter, or more sour? Ivan Pope, don't eat shrimp. Get married and divorce. Clara Alcott, I'll do shrimp, and I'll not divorce when I get married. Gotta let him go. Wishful thinking. That's when I noticed his face. Exhausted, like a big night. Don't stare at me. I've been so annoyed by you, that I haven't slept all night. Oh, it's the same to stay up late. It turns out that there is a wall between people. Why did Edison Isabel also have a night without sleeping? I was so sleepy, but he was as radiant as picking yin and supplementing yang. Standing slowly on the edge of the bed buttoning up the buttons, he woke me up. Stop. What am I doing? Thinking about this, I hugged my head and walked away. Ivan Pope was stunned for a moment, then turned, and went into the kitchen to make lunch. I took a shower and put on a beautiful makeup. 4 dishes and 1 soup have been set on the table. Ivan Pope hasn't cooked for a long time, and it's a bit rusty, but the dishes are okay. Prawns in tomato sauce, garlic pork ribs, boiled okra. Clara Alcott, it's all your favorite. Eat some. Don't eat. I'll go out for something. Ivan Pope's eyes darkened instantly. It's been boiling for a long time. He also held up his fingers. Look, they're all burned. Don't say it's burned. It's okay with me to burn it now. Ivan Pope, when you were out drinking before, When you were in love, how many meals did I wait for you? Have you counted? Clara Alcott. He was answered by a heavy slamming of the door. Ivan Pope was wishful thinking about me again. It's like going back to the time when we were in love. Send me flowers. Come to the painting agency to pick me up from work. Cook a meal and wait for me. Send me all kinds of expensive jewelry. When I came home in the evening, Ivan Pope was actually very drunk. He was carried home by several of his brothers. Clara Alcott is full of mouths. Sister-in-law, you're finally back. Ivan Pope yelling for you. No one can come. After everyone was gone, I kicked him with my foot. Don't pretend. You're really drunk. Ivan Pope rubbed his eyebrows. Clara Alcott, you still know me. Clara Alcott, I was wrong in the past. Shall we start over? I'll be fine with you. If it's a soft-hearted girl, maybe she agrees. Then have a few sweet days. Again and again into the old life. Remember, there are only 0 and 100 times a man cheats. Ivan Pope, we're actually going to end a long time ago. It's just my obsession that has kept me up to now. He looked at me dumbfounded. Clara Alcott, do you really like Edison, Isabel? He clenched his back molars, and his face was dark. Clara Alcott, I'll prove to you that Edison, Isabel, isn't for you. 3 days later, I was called to the top box to listen to the corner. There was a crack in the door. It can be seen that it was specially left for me. It can be vaguely seen that there are all characters with heads and faces in the Nanchang business district. Present at the table was a common figure in the city's financial news. The grandfather of Edison, Isabel, the head of the Isabel family. Today is a family dinner, and there is no media present. The topics that this group of rich people talk about inside are sharper and more realistic than ordinary people imagine. Edison, Isabel, I heard you have a relationship with a married woman. All eyes were on Edison, Isabel. Ivan Pope, in particular, had an imperceptible hint of mockery hidden in the corners of his mouth. I'm not that stupid. It's not hard to guess that it was Ivan Pope who deliberately asked the question. I heard that the old man is arbitrary and treats his grandchildren extremely harshly. You can play any way outside, and once it involves the interests of the family, it is up to the grandchildren to decide. After all, the Isabel family can inherit the family business, and Edison Isabel is not the only one. Edison Isabel, what's going on? Edison Isabel, who was still careless just now, couldn't help but raise his head, chuckled, just for fun. I've been thinking about it for a long time. It's just that when I hear it with my own ears, my heart is still uncontrollably tightened. Edison Isabel has excellent eyebrows and eyes. Even if he said something ugly, his face was still lazy and relaxed. If you get tired of playing, you will naturally lose it. How can a person with no family background and a second marriage be worthy of entering the door of our Isabel family? The old man took a sip of tea. His eyebrows and eyes were pleasant. The corners of Ivan Pope's mouth also raised slightly. I guess he really wanted to see my lost, sad face at the moment. How correct his advice was to me. Edison Isabel coughed lightly again, like to Ivan Pope. But this kind of woman has merit. It's very sincere. It's very coaxing. Marry and go home. You don't have to treat it sincerely. A man can still flutter the colorful flag outside. Isn't this just insinuating that I used to be? Ivan Pope, do you think I'm right? Ivan Pope stopped talking, his face unsightly. Then there is the sound of a chair pulling. Edison Isabel stood up and unbuttoned his collar with one hand. Those words just now, it's all Grandpa. And Ivan Pope, you want to hear it, right? I want to slap myself twice when I say such ugly things. A man who doesn't respect a woman will be unlucky for the rest of his life. So, listen to the corner and be sure to hear the last. In these days, everything has been reversed. Edison Isabel chuckled. For example, my dad failed my mom, so he died early. By the way, and Ivan Pope, you deserve to lose your best wife. The old man slapped the table. For the sake of a woman, don't you want a career? If you want to hang out with that woman, you won't have to go back to Isabel's house. Edison Isabel walked out with one hand in his pocket and his blazer in the other. The career is gone. You can do it again. But if my wife is gone, it's gone. Let's go. This meal is not to my liking. You eat slowly. I am suitable for soft rice. Everyone looked at each other. Edison Isabel is coming out. I hurried to the stairwell. Around the corner, He was held tightly by a hand. Clara Alcott. Want to leave after listening to the corner? Edison Isabel buried his head in my neck. Clara Alcott. I don't have anything now. Can you support me? Oh, so he's coming to eat my soft rice. Clara Alcott. Don't you keep it? I eat less, but I can do it. He deliberately pronounced the last word with an accent. I couldn't help but feel hot at the tips of my ears. Do you want to inspect the goods? You don't need to. You've tried it many times before, but it's just a prostitute. Clara Alcott. You're going to have to pay now. This man's mouth. Really? Hey, you're really in love with the idea of giving up the Isabel family. He raised his eyebrows slightly. Didn't you hear it all just now? I said give me time, and I'll take care of it. You just don't believe it. His eyebrows and eyes were so aggrieved that he didn't want to, but my hands and feet were tightly wrapped around me. The corners of my mouth went up slightly. Okay, let's go and rent a house first. Edison Isabel's eyes twinkle and his smile bright. You've ignored me for the past few days, and I'm so uncomfortable. What's the pain? He grabbed my hand and put it in the whole body. If I'm talkative, I shouldn't ask. Clara Alcott. You're going to make it up to me. Another sleepless night. Being too capable is sometimes not a good thing. When I handed the divorce settlement to Ivan Pope, he pressed his eyebrows. Are you sure you want to do this? Even if he has nothing. Ivan Pope was referring to Edison Isabel behind me. He's here to supervise me if the divorce is in place. Edison Isabel has been more and more flabby since he left Isabel's house, and he has no face and no skin. He sat on the couch in Simone's office with his legs folded. I also asked assistant Ivan Pope to make a cup of hand-ground coffee. I'm not nothing. I've at least got Clara Alcott. The eyebrows and eyes are shining, and he is proud. Ivan Pope blushed and stood up. He's choking his breath in the bottom of his heart. I wanted a meal that would allow me to see Edison Isabel for what he really is. Unexpectedly, Edison Isabel did the opposite. Instead, it boosts our feelings. He was so angry. Let a woman raise you. Are you still proud? Do you want face? Edison Isabel took a sip of his coffee. Why do you want a face? I just have a wife. You don't understand. It's quite happy to eat soft rice and hard food. I've never seen such a straightforward way to eat soft rice. Today I saw it. Ivan Pope gave me a sly look. Clara Alcott. Since you are so determined, this marriage must be divorced. Okay, if you have trouble in the future, just come back to me. I'll be waiting for you forever. I always had a vague feeling inside of me that something wasn't quite right. Edison Isabel was upset. Carry me out. What are you looking for? I didn't feel good when I saw it. A qualified ex-husband is going to be as quiet as death. Ivan Pope smashes a cup in his office. Ivan Pope finally relented. The day I got my divorce certificate, I let out a sigh of relief and went home with a bouquet of my favorite lilies. Just arrived at the doorstep, a figure flashed. Clara Alcott, you're back. Mom has been waiting for you for a long time. Looking at this strange and familiar middle-aged woman, my scalp was slightly numb. Your uncle is imprisoned, and others slander him for molesting young girls. That little girl doesn't look serious. Your brother was seized for gambling and borrowing from loan sharks, and said that if he didn't pay back, he would cut off his fingers. Your brother is young and ignorant, and others have lied to him. I tried to suppress the breath in my chest. After all, I can't bear it. Mom, can you please not do this? Everything is someone else's fault. Your husband and son are right. Mom's eyes widened. Dead girl, how do you speak? That's your stepfather and your own brother. And you say, do you want to save them? Who told you I live here? Ivan Pope, you don't want such a good husband. You still have to raise a little white-faced. I press my fingertips to my eyebrows. Stop. My business. You don't have to worry about it. In addition, I tell you plainly, they can't be saved. They make mistakes, and they should be punished as they deserve. Mom was furious, and the muscles on her face were hideous, holding out his hand resentfully. Give me some money then. I smiled. Mom, the money I gave you a few years ago was enough to support your old age, but now it's gone. I'm not your inexhaustible artificial bank. You dead girl, you have no conscience. Okay, you wait for me. Mom scolded and left. Edison Isabel is back on the back foot. He picked me up and put me in a rocking chair on the balcony. brewed me another cup of rose tea. Recently he has become more and more proficient in taking care of my posture. Did you hear that? He nodded undeniably. Clara Alcott, if the family of origin brings you endless negative energy, then boldly cut with the original family. Remember, there's no shame in that. Edison Isabel understands me. That's what I think about as well. Edison Isabel. Then I may not have any relatives in the future. He kissed me on the forehead. Don't be afraid. You still have me. I underestimated my mom's madness. On Monday, Edison Isabel dropped me off to work at a painting agency. On the roof of the building stood a woman who was about to jump, holding a loudspeaker and shouting non-stop. A group of people had gathered on the first floor. They all looked at me with different expressions. My daughter is Clara Alcott, the head of this agency. Clara Alcott has misconduct, moral decay, and cheated before she got divorced. Can you rest assured that your child will teach her? She's been hooking up with her stepfather since she was a child. The sun is shining directly, and I am a little dizzy. I didn't stand still, and my back was covered in cold sweat. Standing on the roof of the building was my own mother. She tried to destroy me again, or twice. Edison Isabel took me into his arms and covered my ears. Clara Alcott, don't listen. It's not your fault. He pulled out his phone with one hand, his expression grim. Yes, you call the police. Use the fastest speed to get 2 people. Rip her off, and seal her mouth with duct tape. A farce, coordinated by Edison Isabel, finally subsided. Clara Alcott, she's your mother. What do you want to do with it? I dug my fingernails into the flesh. The smell of rust from the age of 16 is back in my mouth. My mother is emotionally unstable and mentally abnormal, and is suitable for long-term hospitalization for in-depth treatment. The last time I went to see her, a hint of horror flashed in Mom's eyes. I'm your mother. I don't want to live here. But Mom, you've never treated me like your own daughter, have you? Love is interactive. Mom, you don't love me. Then I won't love you anymore. Rest assured, I will provide you with your treatment fees for a long time and stably. Mom collapsed to the ground. I burst into Ivan Pope's office. I want to slap him twice. Dare you say that he didn't bring all this in? Attack me and insult me with what I fear most. When I really fall into the dust, let me reattach myself to him. Shameless. It's just that I didn't expect someone to do it first. Edison Isabel calmly put on his watch and buttoned up the cuffs. Use your thumb to gently wipe the blood from the corners of your mouth. The whole person seems to have a broken beauty, and it is charming to death. When you fight, you still come to hook people. Clara Alcott, you're here. Ivan Pope, he's fine. Just a little lesson. Ivan Pope on the ground was embarrassed. But there was more than a little lesson. The clothes were torn. The corners of the mouth were torn. The face was bruised and purple. And there was no good piece of meat. However, it looks pretty cool. Edison Isabel snorted coldly. A useless man would use chastity to attack a woman. I've always belonged to Clara Alcott, haven't you? It's just a rotten cucumber. Where did I get so much superiority? And I cheated again and again, and want to use Clara Alcott's family to ruin her career. Don't you understand? A man who destroys a woman's career will be struck by lightning. Ivan Pope's eyes were shattered. Clara Alcott, pain. He clutched his chest in pain. Once, when he cried out that it hurt, I would care about him, coax him, and rub him, but that's just the old days. Clara Alcott, look, I'm really sick. He shuddered and pulled out a cancer diagnosis slip. I met his hopeful gaze, word by word, clear to ear. Ivan Pope, you deserve it. Ivan Pope's face suddenly turned dead. His eyes darkened, and he couldn't see a trace of light. Clara Alcott, I'm dizzy. Quick, call me the emergency room. Edison Isabel looked like he was about to faint, and it startled me. Some tests were done. The doctor stopped talking, and finally said only one word. It could be a phantom pain. Let me go home and raise it. I get it. Edison Isabel also acted addictively. Every day it hurts, either this or that, either coaxing me to peel grapes for him, or coaxing me to wipe his back. When you rub it, you often go off the rails. Edison Isabel, you need moderation. I don't have any money now, so it's useless. I'm afraid I won't play well, so you don't want me. It's strange and pitiful. The tails of the eyes are dyed red. In the next few days, it was even more excessive. And I didn't even cook the rice. There is no consciousness of being fostered, sighing in front of me all day. Clara Alcott, I can't cook anything of this. What's the matter with you? He was wronged. I go in and out of your house every day. I don't have a name or a share to buy vegetables, and everyone in the vegetable market points fingers at me. It's ugly. I say I'm not serious. I'm upside down. Lick the dog. I can't sleep well. I'm afraid that everyone will dig up the black material that I used to make 3 for Love. I was speechless. Tell me, what do you want? We've been living together for so long, and you don't even mention getting the certificate. Do you want to put on your skirt at any time? Turn your face and leave. I snapped my notebook shut. Okay, I'll get my certificate next Monday. But he's still grinding there. What's the matter? Isn't that okay? Is it okay to go tomorrow? Please, I really can't wait for next Monday. I gritted my teeth. Okay. Edison Isabel had a bright smile, humming a little song. I happily went grocery shopping with a basket of vegetables. A few minutes later, I heard him greet his neighbors. It's a nice day. Do you know I'm going to get my certificate tomorrow? In less than midnight, the whole community knew. Did you hear that? 603 That resident will get his certificate tomorrow. After receiving the certificate, I just found out, the man's nonsense really can't be believed. I chose a villa by the creek for my wedding room. Does Clara Alcott like it? No. Weren't you kicked out of Isabel's house? Have you become a poor ghost? Yes, but I didn't say I didn't have any money. Don't worry, there are still some industries abroad, which are purely mine, and it is enough to support my wife. Total assets. My face fell. Edison Isabel, even you lied to me. Most of these have been changed in assets, and they are still in the process, and they are recorded in the name of Clara Alcott as a dowry. I touched my nose. Oh, it's okay to lie once in a while. Later, Edison Isabel pinned me to the bed, over and over again. Clara Alcott, you speak. Hey, are you the one who likes me, or the money? Hey, what a wickedness. Even the end of the word is so hooking. It's the little ones who make the choice. I want money and people. The end.